Alrighty, welcome to another episode of the One Last Cast podcast. My name is Jonathan, and as always, I have Merriel Solesky with me. Say hi, Merriel.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Well, I know on our Facebook page, which you can look at our Facebook page at facebook.com/One Last Cast podcast. We were supposed to be talking to Daniel Hayes about Jackson Kayaks. However, he had to reschedule. Something came up, which is perfectly fine and understandable. Life continues. And today, instead of Jackson Kayaks, will be just kind of our topic I have put as unscripted because we didn't plan for this. So
Yeah.
we're just going to talk fishing and see where that takes us. Let the currents take us wherever that will be. Should still be a good episode. If there's something that you want to talk about, put it in the chat. Which, by the way, we are live every other Wednesday. We try to go live every other Wednesday. So if you want to interact with us, talk to us, ask questions, leave comments, just come find us at facebook.com/One Last Cast podcast. And we're live every other Wednesday. Join us, and you can interact with us that way. Or also on YouTube, you can find our YouTube page there and interact with us that way. Before we start, let's give a shout out to some of our sponsors. We have 30 South Kayak Anglers, which is our a really cool Facebook group for kayaking here on the Texas coast. Ask questions there. It's just a great group of guys and gals to find all your kayaking questions and fun stuff on there. Also, we have 4A Printing. Aaron, I believe I just saw him on a chat somewhere. He makes our custom towels and buffs and stuff like that. So if you're looking for, custom merch, such as towels, buffs, go and talk to him. He'll be happy to help you out with that. We also have Knock and Tail Lures. Just saw them at the fishing show, which we may talk about later. But I know Michael came out with a new color, Rogue, I believe it was, and they're my go-to saw plastics. The paddle tail with the rattle in it, great for flounder, and especially with the upcoming spring season, whenever you have the smaller shad hatches you're going along, they're small, like 3.5 inches, going to be perfect for that. So, Merrill, I know we kind of don't have a script set up because generally I spend ahead at the beginning of the episodes before we go live talking about the script and what we're going to be doing. I don't have a script, so
What are we gonna do, guys? No, I'm
yeah,
just
what
kidding.
we're going to do?
What are we gonna do? I don't know. What are you gonna do? Right?
Yeah,
No, I'm just kidding.
yeah,
Yeah, no. So Aaron brings up a really good topic, and I feel like that should be like a whole different episode, but about marketing and brands and yourself, right? So I pro staff several products, which I'm probably going to give out a reel. I feel like we'll give out a reel for this episode. We'll give out a Shimano reel, but I think that's a really good topic. I guess I can give my take on it, right?
yeah.
And then you guys feel free to, have your comments, criticize me, whatever. You're not going to hurt my feelings. But
I can feel the keyboard warriors starting to get ready.
yeah, they're already like they're cracking the fingers. They're like, oh yeah, this one's gonna get good to you pro staffers. No, but thanks for the good topic, Aaron. Yeah, so I think so I represent a handful of them, Shimano being one, Costa, under the FTU banner. And my opinion on it as a pro staffer, I feel like these people sought me out. I didn't say, hey, look, can I represent you? Because there's avenues, so like you can literally like email or try to find out a rep if you really like a brand and you use a lot of them and you like their product and you feel like, hey, I want to represent this brand because maybe I use it or whatever your reason may be. But all the brands that I represent, I actually use them. I know them and I like them. And it just so happens it's I don't want to represent something that I don't use. I don't want to represent something just so I can have that, what's the word, badge of honor. I mean, just on, hey, look, I represent, some big name, whatever. And I actually like to represent like something that I like and just so happen to be lucky enough for those people to, say, yeah, you can represent us or however the avenue, how it happened. I could talk about my Hobie journey was in 2000. this is when the pro staff stuff started. Like, right, I was fishing a lot, posting on Facebook, and I think Chicken Boy was one of the first guys that came up to me and said, "Hey, man, you want to try these lures?" And I said, "Yeah, man, I'll try them." Right, so I tried out these lures, and I was like, "Man, these really work," you know. So Chicken Boy was like, he's always been good to me. He's good to like our coast, like our whole coast region. He's always there helping with marketing his baits. To me, I think that is one of the best redfish baits out there. I've caught my biggest trout actually on a Psycho Shad, but he does a lot of marketing. He does a lot of pushing for that. And then in 2015, ACK reached out to me and said, "Hey, Merriel, would you like to represent us in the Hobie team?" And then I said, "Man, I always wanted to be in a Hobie. Like that was kind of my goal, is to always get in a Hobie, but I can't afford it, right? Because at that time I didn't have a lot of money, so I thought it was a perfect opportunity. So I've been on the Hobie team with ACK and Fishing Tackle Unlimited since 2015. So I mean, I think Hobie kind of opened up the doors for a lot of other ones. So I've been through Lose. Well, I can go off. There's a lot of them that I've been through, but it all started off with ACK, which is no longer a company. Is it still a company, or did it get bought out, or how did
Yeah,
that work?
it got bought out by I believe The House, which is like um, an online outdoors company. They have basically their e-commerce. I don't think they may have physical location, but I'm pretty sure it's just e-commerce. They bought them out and then basically dismantled it, and ACK is not a thing
That
anymore.
thing anymore? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, they were the one that gave him, a shot, and all I did was just post up on, I think it was Galveston Saltwater page and Texas kayak fishing page. Yeah, you know what? No, I didn't. Right? No, I just posted on my page. Right? So I didn't really post on groups. I've never been one to really post a lot on groups, and I think somehow it carried, some of my posts carried over, and then that's when I was like, okay, but I've been representing Hobie since, and it
and
opened up the avenue. Like, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what is that like to represent? What does that mean to represent a company such as like Costa, Shimano, or Hobie?
Like, to me, I feel like these are all products that I use, or like in this instance, I wanted to be on in a Hobie, right? So I've always wanted to be in a Hobie kayak, and they gave me the opportunity. But for me, I feel like you have to, you can't be out there doing, I feel like certain people, you can't be out there doing bad stuff. You can't be doing people wrong. I feel like the fishing community, it's kind of big, but also well networked, where like word gets around fast. And I always felt like very, very prideful of the products that I use. So like, so I mean, I do wish that like we make things better for the fishing community. Like for me, it sounds terrible, and I don't know what might come out of it, but for me, helping other people fish means more to me than helping other people get out on the water and helping more people fish means more to me than representing any single brand. That's where my heart is at, right? So that weighs on me first. Like, how can I help out the fishing and kayak community? And I know that's probably a big negative. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But I mean,
So
but
so
as far,
I would say
go ahead.
like you being represented by by these companies is the ends to the means of helping other people enjoy fishing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, shoot, that's pretty good wording. Yeah, that's yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's it. That's it, Jonathan. No, but I mean, but like in that habit, like I've learned to like grow certain products, and then with these products, I feel like I represent them. So when people come and ask me, like, I'm very knowledgeable of like Shimano reels, right? Or if I'm very knowledgeable about the green rods, or I'm very knowledgeable about a Hobie kayak. Like, I had a guy that came up to me at the boat show. And he had a kayak for 3 years, and he still struggles to put on his seat. And I was like, I showed him one simple trick on put a seat on, right? And he's like, wow, I've been using it this many years. He's like, sometimes I just sit on it with the seat all messed up, and it wouldn't be locked in there. It'd always come up on the left or always come up on the right. So I showed him a trick to where you always lock it in place and then put your thing on. And he was like, man, thanks a lot. And it's just, I feel like being in a kayak representing him and answering these questions, And I don't know. Maybe I'm not answering the question. I feel like I am, but representing the products, and I feel like bringing a market to the product, not just, hey, thanks for your whatever, whether it's a discount or whether it's free product or free merchant or whatever it is, but like the whole point of pro staffing is to market what you're representing, and it just so happens what I market is stuff that I'm passionate about, stuff that I do care about. And if you have questions, I can answer. Like, hey, this is what I, this is what I put on a chicken boy, cycle shot. I use a deep rod hook, so when they bite it, they get more exposed hook versus a smaller odd hook, when I'm fishing weedless. Which jig heads do I use, right? Why do I use a certain rod? Stuff like that.
Yeah.
AFCO being like, I love AFCO gear. That's another great company. And all my gear when I go fishing is AFCO, just because it's the way it fits on me. The kind of fishing I do, most of the times I'm in the sun, even though I do a lot of nighttime videos. But we do get out there during the daytime too. But AFCO helps protect my skin, and it breathes good, and certain stuff, so.
Yeah. And my take on this, and actually, I think we talked about this. I take it back. I talked about this with Drew and Chris on the Paddler's Playbook, probably about last year sometime. I don't remember which one it was. And we talked a little bit about this with Dustin Nichols a few episodes ago, in our YouTubers and spot burning episode, which you could find that on any of your favorite podcast platforms or on our Facebook page. It's I I work in the marketing realm. That's my day job, and
Yeah,
it's
what do you know about marketing, Jonathan? I
basically,
actually live it.
yeah, it's it's all about what it's a it's a quid pro quo, which for those that don't know Latin, it is basically it's one for one. Um, so what can you do for them, and what can they do for you? Uh, it, One of the bad raps that I hear about pro staff is like basically some of these companies, they just farm out that you can be a quote unquote pro staff, and they give you a discount, and they gain so much exposure by just from that a discount, which for that model works for some. Um, for me personally, a discount is like,
You're a customer.
yeah, you're just getting product for a discounted rate, and that's to me and the amount of work that you potentially would put in to gain that discount is not it's not proportional. It needs to be like, I'm going to do something for you, but you need to do something as equally as good for me. Um, and the way that you can figure out how to what is equal is basically you have to come up with your numbers. Everything about marketing is generally quantitative. Of course, there are some sentimental things, some things that you can't quantitate that well. But for example, if you come up to a company, and this is when you approach companies, um, I have 100,000 followers on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. Therefore, I can gain this amount, X amount of impressions if I talk about this product. If you were to sponsor me or if I would become part of your pro staff, this is what you're getting. What can you do for me? And generally from there, you can figure out or if you know what you want, like, hey, I'm gonna go towards Shimano, and I usually do something like this for X amount of dollars, and they can send you X amount of dollars of product, and that's the exchange that you normally get. There are some companies that they're small. They don't have that kind of marketing budget, and it's actually sometimes it's a really good opportunity to start from the ground up with a company that you've been there from the beginning. You've been helping marketing that product because that is exactly what you are. You are not a pro staffer, or actually, I take that back. You are a pro staffer, but pro staff doesn't mean you're a professional. It means you're a promoter. Promote
Right.
staff.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not like you're a professional staff. Um, it's the same thing as a quote unquote brand ambassador. Brand ambassador is the same thing, um, with some variations of it. So you're going out there and you're promoting it. You're living that brand. but you are essentially marketing for them. You are doing a lot of the grassroots stuff because pro staffs are, for especially big companies, they're everywhere. You have them in Texas, you have them in Alabama, you have it Florida, whatever, and they expect you to do some sort of marketing for them in exchange for whatever it's going to be. So it is a job. Some of these pro staff things, I don't know like what your situation is, Merrill, but I know some pro staff um they
Sign
expect
a
like,
contract, right?
yeah, sign a
They got their
contract.
they got
Yep.
their mostly all contracts that I've signed always, like, one of the main thing is ethics, right? That's one of the
Hmm.
things they have is ethics, like those all those pro staff. That pro staff for those two dudes that or three dudes that got caught cheating with the Wildlife tournament. Was
Walleye.
that Wildlife? Thank you.
Man,
And they had a
your
lot
Texan
of.
your Texan accent was coming out with the walleye. Yeah.
Sometimes it's hidden, sometimes it comes out, boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, but like those guys, right? Like, so I guess that is like the bad side of it, right? That's
Oh
what
yeah.
they don't want, right? Cheating in the tournament and you get caught, right? It's just terrible, and you can get in big trouble for that. But ethics is one of the main things. Sometimes they want you to promote a certain amount of content every so often. I think when I left ACK, they started having where they wanted you for every 3 months to do a video. Like, it was like a series of things that you had to do, and then like write an article. And me, I'm not good at writing or any of that. Like, you see my videos, they're all like trash and and raw footage, and they're just, maybe trash is not a good word, right? They're really good information videos, but they're not quality. They're not, like, I think Dan
The
Mom.
production value is very low.
Yeah, yes, product. Thank you. But there was a time where I was trying to get everything rigged up on it, right, and like trying to get it to work, and then by that time, it's just like, man, I don't know, kind of lost the passion for it, but I might do it again. But and Salty Lifer, he said that we will be doing I'm gonna probably give away a Shimano reel. So just give you guys a heads up. But yeah, go ahead.
Meryl,
What was?
I was gonna say, Meryl and I will discuss after the show how we're gonna do a giveaway reel, um,
Yeah,
and yeah. So, but yeah, it's and it go, like you said, it does go the other way too, where some of these companies will take advantage of these people who are like, I'm gonna do all these things for you, and they just get 20% discount on the product. And then also you have like these people who just take every single pro staff opportunity they get. They don't represent the brand well, or they don't even use the product. um,
right,
and it's just like you said, like a badge that they kind of put on, like, you
right,
have, you're basically at that point just a walking billboard that doesn't really have any personality and doesn't add anything to the brand, um, in a
right,
meaningful way, I should say. Um,
right,
so for me personally, I think it has to be a kind of a personal connection in regards to, not like them personally, but you use the product. I think, like you said, that's kind of step number one. You have to use the product, believe in it.
right.
And I'll lay this out here. I took a pro staff thing years ago, um, and I did not believe in the product at all, and
You don't
it
mind
was
telling
horrible.
us what was the
Huh?
company? Are you gonna share the company's name or?
Yeah, yeah. I pro staff with FTU for Jackson Kayak.
Oh,
Um, yeah, it was.
oh, and you're a
I
Hobie guy.
I'm a hobby guy, and I kind of I overrode that belief. Like, what, I just want to get my feet in the water. And actually, I did think that they just came out with the pedal drives, and I was like, man, these are going to be game changers. They're going to be awesome. And it's just like the whole time I was like, I don't really like this. I
Yeah, because you're like complete like opposite of a Jackson, right?
Yeah,
Jacksons, they have their place in the market for sure.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna
No, no,
bash them, right? I
definitely
was in a
definitely good
Kusa,
kayaks.
yeah, I was in a Kusa HD for a while, and
Hmm.
I was like, went back to the Hobie, or what was it? No, at that time I was jumping from yak to yak, so this is like pre 2015.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it was in the Slayer, and I was like, but yeah, so you're like a Revo, like sleek, fast, quick.
Yeah.
So like that's I
Yeah.
don't know if Jackson. That'd be great to have Daniel on and talk about it, but like what does Jackson have into comparison of the Revo pedal kayak? Because that to me that is like a really good tournament shallow skinny fishing kayak.
Hmm.
Um, I
Yeah, but
really didn't even realize how skinny those kayaks get until I was in back there by Freeport. I don't know the big camp, but back there they got a nice little skinny marsh with reef,
yeah.
and I was able to maneuver back there behind all those reefs in that kayak. I was like, wow, like I could touch the floor just right there. I was like, wow, this thing gets really skinny. But yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was saying that basically it was I felt like a fraud. Like I felt bad because I felt bad for FTU for like going on that that thing where I was just representing Jackson and I did nothing for them. It was horrible. Um,
Mm,
like I just felt bad because I wasn't authentic to myself. I wasn't authentic to FTU, and I ended up not just doing nothing with it.
mm,
It wasn't a good experience for me. Um, and like I said, I own up to that, and that's like the only time I ever and from that point on, it was definitely I have to make sure that I believe in that product. I'm going to be in it. Um,
right. Yeah, that was
and
kind of like the growing pains, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
yeah, so you kind of like at first you're kind of like, oh, cool, right? Like I think I was. I'm gonna be honest that I was very excited when people asked me, hey, would you want to represent my product, and get a disc. Like to me, I was like, wow, you'd really consider me to represent your product, and then I think that's I think being like what's the word, flattered by it, and
yeah,
like I think that was like, wow, that's so cool, like but I didn't realize, like you were saying, the marketing that I was bringing to the table and what I was giving them and what I was receiving, those things didn't add up. I think it was like Manfield rods or whatever. I think me and a guy, Mike and Johnny, we like sold 25 of those rods like in the like fast, and then I think we ended up selling more, and he ended up selling all of them, and then it was a good rod, right? That was the one with the adjustable butt. I might be
hmm
saying the name wrong. You remember those?
I know what you're
And
talking about. Yeah,
yeah, and because some people like the short gun or some people like the long, but it was still a heavy rod, and I didn't realize that till later. But I fished with it, and I was like, just getting a discount for that, and I was like, man, that's not right.
yeah,
So that was one of the ones for me that was kind of like, yeah, they kind of made a crap load of money off of our, us promoting it for a discount on a rod. And I think I ended up winning one, right? So that's how it started. I won one on a tournament, and then I wanted to try out this other one. So and they were going to give me a discount for it, and we sold them a lot of rods, or sold a lot
yeah,
of rods for them. And there was a couple of other ones that I was just like getting, but as I progressed, I changed to more of um, like how can I be a better promoter for this product that I believe in, right? Like, and I think like if I believe in the product, it'll be a lot more easier for me to promote.
yeah.
So, and yeah, so that's pretty much where I'm at as a
And
pro staffer for some
one more thing that
companies.
I wanted to say about that too. If you take it seriously, it is a job.
Oh yeah,
It's especially whenever you have some sort of quota to meet in regards to like content that you have to create and put out there, um, and it becomes a job. It's and it can definitely, don't get me wrong, it can be very rewarding. Um, I've worked with I've worked with social media influencers in previous positions that I've been in, working with them to promote products, brands, whatever. And some of those jobs that I've done, they were some of the most rewarding experiences that I've ever had in professionally in my career. Um, working with these authentic people who
right.
really believe in what we are selling or what the brands are associating with. And it's just like it doesn't feel like work, but it is work. It takes a lot of effort into it. Um, so a little off tangent here, but I don't like the kind of blanket statement that, oh, the people on YouTube, why don't they ever get a job? Well, some of the people who are making like hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars on YouTube, it's a job. It's not easy doing what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, they make it look easy, but of course, you can make anything on social media look very easy, but it's not easy. Um, it requires a lot of commitment and work. Um, and if that's something that you want to pursue, definitely just rev up your passion, go into it, and see where it takes you. But I think this is also a good segue for us to, talking about all these brands. The last week and a half or so, we were talking about, we were talking. There was the Houston Fishing Show that was happened recently, and there's a lot of brands there. I know you were there, Merrill, for a few days. I was there for a day, just kind of walking around. So, kind of, what were your thoughts on it? Find anything interesting or cool, or anything like that?
Yeah. So I mean, one of the products that we got that's new out in Fishing Tackle Unlimited is the finesse spin rod. So I've been trying to like fish more and more of the spin setups because I'm more accurate with the bait caster, but that took practice over time and time. But I used to fish a spin caster before that, so I kind of lost my accuracy. So now that I'm going back to a spin caster, this new spin rod has got my attention, and it's very sensitive. I mean, really sensitive. If you ain't fished a finesse rod, uh, yeah, I don't know how to explain it because I mean, so I fished just like before that, like I felt like the Sarge rod, the Hassel. I don't know if
Hmm.
any of y'all fished that. Like to me, that rod was probably one of the best performing rods I fished. But as far as durability, I kept breaking it, right? And maybe it's the way I was fishing. I don't know. But I kept breaking the rod. But I'm like always out there fishing a lot. So maybe that had something to do with it, or maybe the way I'm setting the hook broke it. I don't know. But I've broken that rod several times. So then I came across the green rod, the APLX, the APLXL. That's what it is, APLXL. Like to me, that one was like the most. That was just as sensitive, but it was durable. And to me, that was the most sensitive rod that I fished. That was also durable. So then after that one, it was the finesse rod. To me, that was like a little too sensitive because even like before you could feel how sensitive it was, like it was even more sensitive than the XL. So that sometimes I felt like I set the hook too soon. I didn't let him put it in his mouth right, so I could feel it like when he went for it. And sometimes he didn't. Like sometimes they'll grab the bait and they won't grab it right, so they don't fully place it in their mouth. And I'd set the hook too soon. So it took me a while to adjust to that sensitivity. So now they made that sensitivity in a spin rod, which is pretty dang good. And I think Wayne Davis has been fishing out of it for like testing it out for like a year and a half now, and he loves it. So that was one of the new products that Fishing Tackle Unlimited has with their green rods. And yeah, I want to talk a little bit about green rods, right? So the green rods, they're starting to get more and more popular in the kayak industry. Um, and I think because the sizes of them, like most of them are 6'6", 6'9", not really too many 7-footers. So like pretty good for a kayak. And a lot of them we have like Dean Thomas on the team. We had Scott Knoll. He was also a kayaker. I think he wrote a book about kayaking, right? I don't
Right.
really know what book it is, but it's a like kayak manual or something like that. It's a good book, right? I haven't read it, but I heard good stuff about it. But so they had kayakers on this team, so they modified all the seats, real seats, the blanks. Um, so they have Fuji guides, Fuji real seats, um, carbon fiber, the integrated cork, like all these things were like protected or a conglomerate over time of anglers trying to perfect it that up and down the coast. So I think that's how the green rod is just getting like the performance of it just gets better and better and better for me. I just love those rods. They're pretty good rods. So this spin one I'm pretty excited about because it's kind of like this is what we're progressed to, this is what we changed to, this is what we modified to. Um, as us as the guides that are on the team, right? So, and then the guides that were on the team before that, and the people that were on the team before that, um, and
Yeah. So it's just a the knowledge kept building up and trial and error and fixing all these things into now what the green rod is today. So
Right.
yeah,
And so that's a new product that I'm excited about. The Hobie Links. That's, I don't know if it's new, but it's newish, right? The Hobie
yeah,
Links. That one, so it's uniquely designed, right? So it looks hollow, it's extremely light, but it actually has layers of material. Like it's like 3 layers before you even get, and then it has foam in the middle. So worst case scenario, if you puncture it, which it's a pretty hard plastic, I don't think you could puncture it easily. But worst case scenario, you puncture it, you're not going to sink in it. And this kayak with the fitted hull weight of 47 pounds. So I think it's like an 11 foot by 3 foot, right? That's the 11 by 3.
yeah. It's super light. I think puncture is the wrong word because it's not like it's not inflatable. It's like
Right,
if you just go through all those layers of plastic, you're still not going to be able to sink it. Um, and
right.
it's just it's I want to try one so bad.
Yeah,
It's
I wonder if they're gonna rent them out. Like that's probably a good question to ask.
Yeah, that would be a good question to ask. Oh, and the book, we had Juan in the chat. He's saying the book is The Ultimate Guide by Scott Knoll. Kayak Fishing: The Ultimate Guide by Scott Knoll, and I believe some other authors. So, yeah, it's going back to the links.
Yeah,
It's a kayak. It's not exactly a kayak. It's a stand-up paddleboard kayak hybrid. I think that's what they're kind of designating
right,
it as.
right,
It's a flat platform, stable enough for you to kind of walk around in, but it has an elevated chair similar to the ones that they have for like the PA,
right.
the Pro Angler. And you have your pedal system, you have your steering and everything like that. But the lightweight aspect of it, and the fact that it's a
It's
easy to
under
trans,
like all of it together is still under 50 pounds. Like
yeah,
that's crazy.
that's
Like you could
crazy.
just toss that like anywhere and just take off.
Yeah,
And there's not much components to it, right?
yeah,
Like there's not like, oh, I gotta, you know, put it on a cart and wheel it somewhere. It's like, man, I can just pick it up and throw it, you know. And the rudder system, right? To pull it up, you just yank a cord and it pulls up. And
yep.
then to put it down, you just yank it again and it pushes it back down. It took me a while to figure out how to yank it, right? You gotta kind of do a little jerk to it, not just
Hmm.
pull it. So you do a little pop jerk, and then that'll do, you know, put it down and then pick it up. So yeah, that one's pretty cool. I think that one's. I think my buddy Nathan, we're probably gonna get him on the show here. He's been fishing out of it, and he loves that thing. And I've seen him in like some. I'm not saying you should, but I've seen him up against some like 2 footers at least. He was going up on that sucker, and I'm like, dang, that's crazy. But I mean, it's not going nowhere. It's a well designed kayak.
Yeah,
So or
it is
paddleboard,
a
right?
little
I
bit
shouldn't
hard
say
to find.
kayak.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is a little bit hard to find right now. I know that you can find them. It's just
right.
there's not that many out there. They are coming. It's just I've been waiting to find one for rent, or find one that pops up in Facebook Marketplace or something like
Yeah,
that.
somebody's like, hey, it's garage kept, took it out once,
Yeah,
like moving out of town. So like, oh,
yeah,
I'll get it from you, right?
yeah.
There's always those good deals.
Do you know
Um,
somebody was asking what the price is of the links?
I think the MSRP is around 32. 32, 33. Don't knock my word, or don't write that down, but I'm I'm
That sounds
I
about right.
remember I remember seeing that, I think. But don't get me in trouble. No, don't say Merrill said, but
Yeah,
nah. But it's somewhere around that ballpark. So you're still getting a really good kayak for a decent price. I
yeah.
think that I don't even know what the Outbacks are anymore. Like, what are the Outbacks running? Like, they're close to
They're
4, right?
yeah, they're close to 4, and then the the
The
PAs
three
are like
six,
the PAs are close to 5 now.
and then the 360s are upper fives, right? Close to
Yeah,
6.
something like that. They are getting kayak prices are getting crazy. So
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
yeah. So speaking of those, there's a new orange camo color
Wh-
that's out now.
when you said
I
orange
think
camo, I was thinking like a creamsicle color,
no, it's more like an orange.
or I was thinking like orange, white, and black. But
Oh, is that part is white? I don't think I've seen any white. Is that part of camo?
No. I'm just saying that whenever you said it, I was thinking that's the color I was thinking about because I know there's some kind. I forgot what brand it is. It was Native. Native has one that looks like a creamsicle. It was like or slightly. It was a really dark orange, but it had like white streaks and some black fleck in it, and it looked like
Mm,
a creamsicle to me for some reason. But
okay.
anyways, what does the orange camo look like for Hobie?
There also is a red the Mike Iaconelli collection, right? The red and black camo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that one's pretty cool too. That one's pretty popular. I think Nick's probably he's on the Hobie team and he's trying out the orange one. Speaking of Nick, I want to share a story. He was out in this area we fish a lot of, so we're talking about him in a popping cork, right? So he tells me he calls me today because yesterday they went fishing. Was it whenever? When was Monday?
It was
A couple days ago.
a couple days ago. Yeah.
He was catching them on a popping cork with a bear hook because he was trying to throw. He was throwing out the new green rod, right? And he was
Yeah.
throwing it out there, and he was like, "Oh, I just want to test it and see how it feels." He did that and landed like he landed a trout. It was a bear hook, and then he landed a 27 and then some change red with just a bear hook because he said, "I'm gonna do it again," but he was joking around. But he landed a bigger fish. So that's I'm going to share his story because I think that story is a lot cooler than the stories that me and you had when we went out there. I guess we could share that story too. But that to catch a fish on bear hook, a
Oh
trout and
yeah.
a redfish,
Yeah, no,
that's pretty dang
that's
cool.
amazing. Catching one.
Yeah.
I've only had that happen once, and that was at, and I'm not lying here. It was probably July. Yeah, it was July at Seawolf Park. No lie. You know, it was we were in Seawolf Park. We were waiting on the not the channel side, the bay side, and basically we walked into the park and we were catching trout right up against the rocks on top waters. I had like I had like probably a 4.5 pound trout that got um, eaten off my stringer by a dolphin. But basically, I caught that thing like my top water hit the rocks, and I brought it out, did a couple twitches, and just blew up on it. It was a nice 4.5 pound trout. But as the day went on, we started noticing that the bait went away from the rocks because I think the tide was going out, and it was going out towards the flat, towards like open water, and we started catching dink trout after dink trout with some really nice ones mixed in,
Mm-hmm.
and they were tearing up our lures to the point which I had probably with my weight box, I probably went through like 8 or 9 soft plastics because they're just tearing them up, and I ran out of soft plastics. Um,
Jesus.
so literally, I was using whatever soft plastic I had left. It was a like a paddle tail or whatever, and the tail was gone. It was all ripped up to shreds, but I still kept catching them on this beat up soft plastic, and they weren't big. They're like little 12 to 14 inch trout.
Still
Which
fun. It's like
yeah,
well,
it's still
sometimes
fun.
you're on when you're on them like that. It's just like,
Yeah.
man, how long is this gonna last? And you just
Yeah,
keep
so I just
staying
kept
on them.
casting, and as I kept casting, little bits and pieces of it kept falling off as the bait kept getting hit. Eventually, like I casted, I saw the bait fly off. I'm like, oh shoot, that's it. And I started catching them with just a jig head, just like
That's crazy.
burning that jig head back in, and you just feel the thump, and you set the hook, and it would just be this trout coming out of the water with just a jig head. And
That's
it
crazy.
it was an amazing day because Jay Lee and another guy we were out there with, between the three of us, we probably caught like 100 trout each.
Nice.
It wasn't
That's
like and we caught. I think we ended up with probably like at the time it was a 10 trout limit, I think, and we probably caught 6 each that were keepers, but it
mhm.
was so much fun, so much fun.
Those made for nice picks back in the day, right?
Oh
I
yeah,
definitely won't do that again though. But
just hold up
big
a
old
10 trout
filthy,
stringer.
yeah, big old filthy. Like when you and your buds are together, right? So it's like you all got just 10 trout. It's just
Oh
like big
yeah,
old filthy stringer.
yep.
Sometimes I look at my old pics and I'm like, what an idiot. Like you see this like this big old roll of 20-inch trout just stacked. And I'm like,
Oh
oh.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not I don't feel proud. Those are ones that I don't really share often because I'm like, what an idiot, you know.
yeah. They keep popping up in my Facebook memories. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah,
remember. I remember that. Oh man, that kind of looks bad now. You know,
yeah. You can't don't post it, man. But
you
yeah,
have it like over your shoulder and stuff like that, and it's like all fish slime everywhere.
or the tailgate party, right? Where they're
Oh yeah,
all
the
lined
tailgate
up on the
party. Yeah,
tailgate, right? So I know, like, right. So I had different vehicles, so I kind of know how big a tailgate is. So
yeah,
when people like zoom in on the tailgate, I'm like, bro, those ain't even 20s. Like, man, bro, those are. So they like zoom in at the angle, you kind of know, like, because
yeah,
like when you're throwing shots on the tailgate, you kind of know how long the tailgate, some of the tailgates are. So it's kind of like in that certain vehicle, you're like, So when I see them, it's kind of like, man. But I have some not so proud pictures of
yeah.
trout just hanging over the tailgate, and I'm like,
It's all
yeah,
about the angle of the dangle. So
yeah. What did I say? It's not about the fish you catch; it's about the angle you catch the fish. Yeah, that's what I say. Oh, so there's a guy that made a remember the saying I said, catch and release into the grease?
yeah,
Somebody
catch and
made a
release in the
shirt out of
grease.
that one.
Oh really?
And then so there's another one which is a catch fish not feelings, right? Remember I
Yeah,
said that on Galveston whatever page. Well,
yeah,
somebody
yeah.
made a shirt out of that one. So I don't know. I might have to hit these guys up and charge them. No, no, but the catch and fish and release and grease. I probably wasn't the first one to say that, but I just
No,
don't remember
no.
anybody else
I
saying
think
that.
that those sayings have been going on forever. And
Right, yeah.
yeah,
But definitely catch fish. What was going on? I think there was something going on uh, when I said catch fish, not feelings at the time.
it was probably some drama in regard. I don't. I remember. I vaguely remember it. I don't keep up with it, but
Oh wow.
there's
Okay.
always drama going on. But yeah, there's there besides FTU, did you have a chance to walk around the fishing show?
Not much. I know Landers has a popping cork coming out and some painted some top waters that look like a peanut. I guess how you describe it, right? A
Um,
peanut. So Landers has other than pliers, leashes, they got popping cork and top waters now. He's painting. Um, I know I did swing by Knocking Tails.
yeah.
I don't have my bag with me, but I got a big old bag of Texas. I run through those things like a lot. Texas roach being my favorite color. One of my yeah. So half of that. Yeah. So I had to re up on some rattle tails. I think
Yeah,
we just call them rattle tails, right? Is there a rattle tail name out there?
no, it's a knock and tail, but I really picked up these 3.5 inch ones, the really small ones, um, because especially with spring coming up, I think they're going to be killer on like an 1/8 ounce jig head, because the 1/4 ounce jig head makes it kind of fall too fast, and I'm I regret what I'm saying with uh like I obviously I stick with the 1/4 ounce for most of the time, but and I do believe in finding those fish, but there have been times, especially recently, when I've been like, I know the fish are there, and you just switching up to like a 16th ounce jig head or an 8th ounce jig head makes all the difference.
Oh yeah,
So
just even the size of the bait. I mean, I've been out there sometimes where like you see them like blowing up and feeding, and you throw that bait out there like your 4 inch, and you think like, oh man, is a 3.5 really gonna make that big of a difference? And you try it, and you're like, wow. And then you start hooking up, and you're like, no, let me go back to the 4 inch,
yep,
and then you don't catch nothing, and you like go back to the 3 inch, and then you start catching them again. You're like, wow, like just you never know on the water, like something like that, and just change your perspective.
yep,
Like you can never count it out, right? Just switching the bait size just from 1/2 inch makes a big difference. I think Phil asks question: did Landers get bought out by Not My Fault rods? So they did get bought out, um, and the guy that bought it out does build rods. So maybe that's a yes. Um, I don't know what rods he makes, but a rod builder, a guy that builds rods, did buy out Landers. I guess that's a little bit of information for people that did not know. Um, there's a new owner for Landers Fishing Gear. So I use a lot of their leashes, pliers. The good thing about their pliers, right? So if they mess up, you just take it to him and he fixes them for you or replaces them. So
That's
it's
cool.
not like, you have to mail it out, or I don't know what you do with other pliers, like, or you just go buy another pair of pliers. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah, just buy
find
some.
yeah, I to be honest, I wait for like these weird Chinese company pliers that are like aluminum. They
Hmm.
they go on sale on Amazon for like $5.
And it
And
happens, right? That
yeah,
happens.
it happens, and I'll buy like 2 or 3, and then I'll keep them, and then these pliers, they last forever. Like the I know they're like Chinese knockoffs or whatever, but they're aluminum, so they last forever. And
How dare you buy stuff from China? No, I'm just kidding.
well, the question is, what's not made in China? You know?
That is a really good question, right? So a lot of these people are like, "Oh, it's China." I was like, "You'd be surprised how much
Oh yeah,
fishing gear and fishing tackle you fish with is made from China."
yeah.
Uh, so
I
it's
know. I know. Jay Lee. He's on the. He probably has a professional account with Alibaba Express where all their fishing gear that he buys from them.
it's just constant feeding, right? Just
Oh yeah, he finds all these really cool and awesome lures that are like from China that are just like, oh, that looks really cool. That would probably work. So like he's found some like Mirrodine substitutes that were like $1 each. You know,
oh wow, did it
yeah,
work good? Did you try them out at least,
yeah,
or
they work, you know. And there'd be days whenever we're at the pass, we're fishing, and he'd just be like, "Oh, I'm gonna try this new lure," and he just kills it. Um, he has a I don't know if I should give him away secrets, but I'm gonna give him away anyways. Um, he has he found like a prop bait.
yes?
It's really cool. It's a prop bait. It's like
What's a prop
clear.
like? Oh,
Um,
it's just a
it
clear
has
bait.
it has yeah. It's like it's an oval body with painted eyes, and on front and back it's a prop. Like it just
Oh, a
spins.
propeller, like
Yeah,
propellers
propeller.
on it.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. So it's a bass bait. You know, it looks like some of those bass baits that they have. And he just like it's the propellers are silver and it's like clear. And basically, whenever the water's really clean at San Luis Pass, he'll throw that on and just like rip it through the top, and you get
Mhm.
some like I've seen like 16-inch trout look like they're just complete monsters when they strike that.
Oh
Like they
crap!
move so much water going after it.
Bass baits working in. How long does that lure last though? In salt water, probably like first
Yeah.
couple.
So I'm pretty sure he changes out the hooks on them, so they last. He uses them all the time.
What
So
about the propellers? Aren't they metal or something? And they just
yeah, they seem to last. They're pretty durable. So um,
okay.
yeah,
You know who
and
makes
if they're not, they're $1. So you know,
so Yozuris are made in Japan, right?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, I found another bait that was made in Japan. Man, those guys really know what they're doing in Japan. They make some really good baits, and I think Shimano's some of their reels are built out there in Japan too,
Yeah.
like they're forged aluminum and all that. Um, but if y'all want specs on certain reels, hit me up and then I can send you some specs. We got some new reels coming out. Shimano does. I might give one away later on in the podcast season, but right now I'll give one away. Not a newer one. So I
Can
got to
you
test it out first, see how it feels, see how it
can
works.
you give me an Aberdeen?
What's that?
The really light one, the Aberdeen, isn't it called the
Oh,
Aberdeen?
is that how you say it?
I don't know how you say it. That's what it spelled. It looks like that's
Yeah,
what it
no,
spelled like.
I don't even know how to pronounce it, but yeah, like so it is Aldebaran, right? Even for Aldebaran,
Oh
like
yeah,
is that
that's
how
what I'm referring to. Yes, that's what I'm referring to. Yes.
is it?
I don't know. I'm gonna look this up now, but I've been calling it the Aberdeen just because that's how my dumb ass says it. Sorry, I didn't mean to
Dude,
curse.
I could be saying it wrong too. Don't feel bad, but yeah, like yeah, they make some really good lures out there in Japan.
I think it is Aberdeen.
Is it
Aberdeen.
Albertine? Aldebaran. See, I've been
Aberdeen.
saying Aldebaran. Y'all vote, see who said it right. See if me or
Yeah, yeah,
Jonathan said it right.
yeah. We're all saying it wrong. It's not even. It's not even
Yeah,
that.
or put both wrong, right? If
Yeah.
we're both wrong, because we don't, it's a nice reel though. It's super light.
I've been wanting
Caspar.
one so bad, but I can't justify $250 or $300 or whatever it is
Oh, it's
for
definitely not
the
250. It's like in the
yeah.
300 range. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I
No,
thought.
it's
That's
way
why.
up there, dude.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, that's why
maybe
it's
in the yeah, it's up there.
yeah.
But mm, I don't know. So I mean, so bass baits, right? Which one was the one I was throwing? I was throwing a bass bait, a bass crankbait one time, and I caught a huge trout in somebody's slip, right? So I was
Hmm.
throwing the crankbait out there and just like ripping it and reeling it fast. And there was blowups by this boat slip, but where I was working it, where the blowups, the little trout would get to it first. So I kind of just like slowly started working my way forward through it in the boat slip, and then muscled out a 27 and a quarter inch trout on a bass bait. I guess bass crankbait. So that's definitely one thing to experiment with is bass baits. Other than that, do you experience with it or just
Yeah, I've
a
thrown bass
Cinco?
probably.
Have you ever threw a Cinco at him?
I've drop shotted for trout before.
Yeah,
Yeah,
did it work?
yeah, I caught trout. So it was probably the second year of the saltwater survival series tournament where you had to meet up in one spot. They gave you the baits and you had to shotgun start from there.
Mm-hmm.
As in, you just drove. You had everybody had to drive at the same time to go wherever they had to go. And it was a trout one, and they were using the wedge tail lures from Egret Baits. That was a soft plastic that you had, and I've been fishing an area that was just super deep. And of course, tournament day was like a front was coming through. It was like 30-mile-an-hour winds, and it was really the only place I knew that I could fish. But I've been fishing there, and it was like 25 foot deep there. Um, and it was very difficult to work that area just because it was so deep. And I think the fish they weren't really keening. You had to get something like a 16th ounce jig head down there, but it would just
Mm-hmm.
take forever for it to get down there, and I just couldn't wait that long. Um, and I was experimenting with this a split shot, drop shot rig, where basically you just hook it up with the wedge tail with on the like the nose of it,
Mm-hmm.
and you basically um, go straight down and you just slightly jig it up and down. Um, and that worked for me, and I was getting trout to hit it. Um, I ended up coming in with the 4 fish limit, or it was 3 or 4 fish limit that day. It was just I wasn't catching the size that I wanted, but I just remember sitting there. The only problem though, because you nose hook the wedge tail, after a couple fish, they would just tear it
Mm-hmm.
off, and of course you only had so many baits to use
Right.
with that kind of format. So I went through them pretty quick. So
So you want to talk about our fishing journey that we had? Um, so we went looking for trout. You want to share that? You want me to share the story? You share
that doesn't narrow down anything. I mean, we go fishing always looking for trout.
it.
Which
Oh,
one are you
that's
talking
true.
about?
The last one we went to, where you found them hit all stacked up in the back, all the way in the back, far back in the
Oh, okay. Yeah.
brackish areas. What we
Yeah.
can, yeah. So we went to go look for trout. We like bus stopped, picked up a couple few here and there, but we didn't find them thick like we were at first, right?
Yeah.
But we only had like a 2 hour window.
Yeah.
I had to go, we got on the water late. I got to go pick up my kids for school, so it's kind
Yeah.
of like you got to load up everything, unload everything. So it's like maybe to me it felt like 2 hours, maybe three
Yeah.
hours of fishing. Um, so we didn't have a lot of time, so we're
Yeah.
trying to find some trout.
So basically, this area that we're fishing, it's been pretty consistent that I've been catching them on a drop offs. This is kind of brackish area. If it rains, it kind of kills it. If it doesn't rain, it's fine. Um, and when we got there, we had an incoming tide, and it was supposed to be outgoing probably around 2 or 3 o'clock. And I knew that it was just we had right when we got out there, it was going to be like we had that very short window where that incoming tide was still coming in, and it was the tide was going to die for a little bit, and then it started going out around 2 or 3 o'clock. Um, and we caught a couple here or there, just sitting on drop offs and just working those zones. Um, and I know that we went to like this rocky drop off that literally went from like 2 to 3 foot, and it was to like 6 to 8 foot. It was just rocks all the way down. So like if you let your jig just sit too long and get on the bottom, it would just get hung up. Um, and I know that you're working it a little bit differently than how I normally like to work it, but you were catching fish, so you're doing
I
something
was
right.
I was getting lucky.
Yeah, yeah, we were
Yeah.
sitting.
So what was your pattern like? So yours looked like it was like along the drop off, right?
Yep,
Like you're working that whole drop off.
yep. So
Me, I was more of like an angle, punching it and then letting it work, and then dropping the lure down into the drop off.
Yeah, so I would find that where it was like 2 to 3, I would scoot off of it a little bit. And I've been fishing here so long that I know exactly the contour of where that drop off would be, and I'll try to make these long casts along that drop off. So I wasn't fishing 2 to 3 foot. I was really fishing 4 to 5 to 6, 7, depending on where I'm working, and I'm just working on that drop off. Um, I think you were more casting towards the shore and
But
bringing it
out
off.
in, yeah, bring it, yeah. So
Yeah,
I was a little bit further out,
hmm
bringing it, coming like a bait. So I was coming like a bait coming off the banks and then falling into the deep water.
yeah. So
That's how I was working it.
both methods are very effective for me. I'm basically trying to figure out generally for trout, especially where you're working drop offs. If you find them at like, let's say you cast it into that 4 foot drop, and you catch one there. For the most part, I found that they would all be on that 4 foot drop.
Right,
That yeah, maybe you'll get them on 5 foot, 6 foot, whatever. But if you stay within that 4 foot, they'll be there. And that's not
right,
always the case, but that's my experience. So I was literally being methodical of 4 foot, 5 foot, 6 foot,
right,
7 foot. But your method, where you can actually cast up shallow and bring your bait down, you're covering 2 to 3 all the way down to 8 or however deep the water was.
right.
And the one of the benefits of that is that you're covering these different water columns. So if you find them, you can hone in on a little bit more, but also you're covering all these different depths, and it looks more,
Transitions, right,
yeah, these different transitions, and I think it looks more natural too, having the bait in the shallow part coming off that
right,
ledge,
right. That's what I was doing. I
coming
was
down
trying,
that ledge, yeah.
right.
So
But now that I think about it, like that one was more deeper, right? Because that one was like really letting it drop. I was like, oh man, I'm
yeah,
really letting this one drop. And I was like, oh shit, he's there he is. Go
yeah.
down, set the hook, and
Yeah, I
that's a
didn't catch
decent one.
it during that stretch. I didn't catch any on the drop. I think they were all sitting on the bottom towards like the 8 to 9 foot. And
Right,
I
right.
just I
Yeah,
just
this
never
one,
got down there.
right.
So
Yeah, because I mean, like, you don't know if you're gonna get. I was fishing weedless, so that's another advantage I had. So I knew I could be on those rocks and not worry about getting hung up.
yeah.
Um, but then you found them
Yep.
thick all the way in the back. And
Yeah.
I was like, so I'm like, man, let me go try. So me, I was running around the whole area trying all these different spots I usually catch them, and just like bus stop picking them up, one here, one there, and not big ones either. And you call me like, man, they're back here. They're way because you said I have a feeling, like you kind of knew, right? You're like, I have
Yeah,
a
I
feeling
kind
they're
of
gonna
do.
be, yeah,
So with the tide being, it was high tide, and with the outgoing tide, basically I decided that because it's brackish water, your chances of catching these the trout, redfish, and flounder, they like trout. No, sorry, redfish and flounder. They can survive brackish, and actually for redfish, if the change isn't sudden, they can survive freshwater. So but with the high tide, all the saltier water got pushed further back into this area. So I went further back to see how far they were, because sometimes it's it's they're not back there. But I stopped at a point. I lost a big trout. It would literally hit the water, and I heard sort of pop, and just big weight came up, set the hook, and this trout, yellow mouth, just came out of the water. thrashing,
Mm.
and just threw the hook right away. And I was like, oh shoot.
Jesus.
And I stayed there. I was fishing there, like maybe there's other trout. Couldn't find another trout. So I kept going further back. And my goal was, there was basically these two shell kind of islands that are kind of towards the back of this area. And they've created a natural choke point where the water kind of flows in and out through there. So it's created a gut that's literally goes from like 2 foot, and there's a bowl right there that's it's 2 foot and it's like 6 foot, and it's just this giant circle. And then from that 6 foot it drops to about 8 foot to where the main channel was. Um, and It's got there, and I positioned myself with what was going to be now the outgoing tide. So now the water's coming through there. So I was casting um, from deep to bringing up to shallow.
Mm-hmm.
Man, when it got from basically went up towards that 2 to 3 foot, there were just trout, redfish. I don't think I caught a flounder this time. There's usually a couple flounder hanging around there, but there were just so many fish there. And eventually, actually, I went to I started making these casts towards the kind of the shell island that was there, and there's just redfish, like
Mm-hmm.
tons and tons of redfish. I say tons, and I mean like I caught like six, but they were, they're all like 20, 21, 22 with the K, and I caught one that was probably like 24, 25. But they were
Still fun.
just,
Those are
yeah, it was still fun. It
I
was
would
still
so
fun.
like so in Louisiana, they eat what 16 and up.
I don't know, but I know
Man,
that the limit's lower there.
yeah. So it's like when you throw it back like at 19 and three quarters or 19 and a half, you see all that meat, like, man, I could eat that, you turn it back. Anywho.
But
But
yeah,
yeah,
it was a lot of fun. And I remember calling you, and I was like, "Come on over," but yeah, I was definitely a little bit further away, and you had to leave to go pick up your kid. So
yeah. Maybe we should have head out a little sooner. But
yeah.
we both had stuff to do.
Yeah.
We almost like just straggled on the water, like, oh, yeah, let me go get some breakfast. I'll be back.
Yeah.
I'll see you in a little bit after breakfast. But yeah. But I mean, look, our time's up. I didn't even I guess there's some things we didn't get to talk about that we were planning to talk about.
There's plenty of stuff that we can talk about, but I did want to kind of inform everybody that I believe our next episode, which is going to be, let me make sure it's the correct date because I don't want to give you the wrong date. It's going to be the 22nd. And we've managed to Merriel. I always say Merriel because I give him credit here. Look at him networking for us.
Yeah,
at
I'm
the
trying, guys.
Houston Boat Show, he was talking to um, from 30 miles out, Ty Sutherland,
Yeah.
and he expressed interest, and we're gonna have him on the show so be on the lookout for some more information on that. So the 22nd, we're gonna come back live, and you can find us live here at facebook.com/one last cast podcast or on YouTube, and we'll be talking to Ty Sutherland and talking about 30 miles out and how that journey went and what it's all about. And I think it's gonna be a good show.
Yeah.
Definitely one of the YouTuber channels here on the Texas coast that they have.
I think he
At
also
least
has a TV, right? A TV show too.
we'll talk about that later. But basically, I know him for as being one of the first like major YouTubers here on around the Texas coast. So it'd be good to talk to him. Maybe we can pick his brain about kind of all that stuff. But yeah, and of course we're going to reschedule Daniel whenever he's available. And we have some cool stuff coming up. And of course, Merrill, you said you're going to give away a reel at some point. We'll talk about
Yeah.
that and get that figured out. But yeah, to be honest,
Yeah.
this is our first kind of unscripted show. I'm not really sure if I like this or not. I like structure, man.
Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, like, it's like when you like live it, like it's and you actually do it, it's easier to talk about. And
yeah,
we're not just repeating what other people are saying. We're actually sharing our stories and our experiences. So I think it makes it a little bit more personal, and not saying we're better than anybody else. I'm just saying it makes it a lot easier to talk about.
Yeah. And one last announcement I wanted to make is that in a couple weeks, I believe it's going to be on the 18th. So actually, not a couple weeks. Next week, it's going to be the first event of the Saltwater Survival Series. I believe it's the Redfish one. So if you have not signed up for it, sign up for it. Great tournament, and yeah. So man,
There's a
okay.
GRS. There's a red. There's a lot of tournaments.
Yeah, the GRS is like the pre event. I believe is this weekend, where it's like an hourly tournament. Um, uh, um, maybe this is not. It's not really that big of an announcement. I'll be fishing GRS this year. We'll see how that goes. Um,
Oh, good. Heck
I'm not
yeah.
a I'm not a redfish guy. I'm gonna
I'll try to squeeze in. I'll try to squeeze in a tournament or two this year and
yeah.
see how it goes.
Yeah. All right. So thanks everybody for listening in. If you want to listen to any of our other podcasts, you can find them on your favorite podcasting platforms. Also, you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/cast. Whoa, need to slow down here. Facebook.com/one last cast podcast. Also on YouTube. Merrill, let's bring it home. Give me something that you learned recently while fishing.
Oh yeah, I also want to give a shout out to the people that visited me that
Oh yeah.
listened to our podcast. Fernando, appreciate you. Eddie, Eddie for coming out and visiting us.
Also,
And
I wanted to shout out to Samuel. Samuel, hopefully I'm saying that right in the chat. He recently joined the Hobie gang. Awesome. Congrats. Hope you
yes,
love it.
big congrats.
Yep. But yeah. So let's sign off with what's the one recent thing that you've learned fishing, Merrill? Or
Jesus.
maybe you know everything already. So you know.
Don't do that to me. Why would you do that to me? No. I mean, every day I try to learn something, right?
Yep.
Like I learned that there's a better launch than the way I was launching my kayak. I feel like I did learn something on the last trip. I remember I was like, man, I never thought about that, but I can't remember it. So I guess it's not good. Maybe I have to do it again. I feel like I did learn something on the last trip that we went on. I just don't remember what I learned, other than a better way to launch that kayak at that spot.
Yeah, before if you didn't know, Merrill, he would attach his kayak to the top of his vehicle and go at full speed and brake, so the kayak
Yes,
just flew into the water.
yes. Extra
Um,
grease. I put
yeah,
extra grease on the top, so
yeah,
makes
yeah.
it easier.
That slick you see out there, that's actually from Merrill's kayak when it hits the water.
Yeah, that's not a pro slick or
No,
a trout slick.
no trout slick. All right, guys. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. We hope you have tight lines out there, and we will see you guys next time.
Take care, guys.